Good evening, and welcome to Future Sport Debates. Tonight, we're tackling a compelling and increasingly relevant question: the role of advanced prosthetics in disabled athletes' competitions. Is it a mark of incredible progress, leveling the playing field and pushing human potential? Or does it introduce new complexities, potentially creating disparities and altering the very spirit of sport? This evening, we have three distinguished guests to help us navigate this intricate topic. Alex Miller, a celebrated para-athlete and advocate for technological integration. Dr. Eleanor Vance, a sports ethicist with a keen eye on fairness and tradition. And Ben Carter, a bioengineer specializing in prosthetic design. Welcome to you all.
Thank you, Sarah. It's a privilege to be here to discuss something so integral to my life and the future of parasports. For me and many athletes like me, advanced prosthetics are not just equipment. They are enablers. They are the key that unlocked a door I once thought was permanently closed. I remember the first time I trialed a running blade specifically designed for competition. It wasn't about suddenly becoming superhuman. It was about feeling the possibility of true athletic expression, something my previous, more basic prosthetic couldn't offer. These technologies are about mitigating a disadvantage, allowing us to train harder, compete more fiercely, and showcase the dedication and talent that defines any elite athlete. They represent innovation, the human drive to overcome obstacles, and they empower us to strive for excellence, just like any other athlete in any other field. The argument isn't about creating superhumans, as some might suggest. It's about allowing us to reach our full human potential within the sporting arena, to compete on a stage where our disability doesn't define our limits, but our training and determination do.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate the opportunity to share my perspective on this complex issue. Let me begin by stating clearly that I deeply admire the achievements of para-athletes and recognize the incredible benefits that prosthetic technology has brought to many lives, both within and outside of sport. Prosthetics that restore mobility and enable participation in everyday activities and basic sports are unequivocally positive developments. My concerns arise when we consider the realm of elite competition and the introduction of highly advanced, often very expensive, performance-enhancing prosthetics. The primary issue, as I see it, is one of fairness and equity. If access to the latest, most sophisticated prosthetics is limited by cost or by a nation's technological resources, we risk creating a new form of inequality. This could mean that success in parasports becomes less about the athlete's innate skill, dedication, and training, and more about who has access to the best technology. Furthermore, we must ask ourselves about the spirit of sport. Is the goal to celebrate human athletic prowess? Or are we moving towards a scenario where we're primarily celebrating technological innovation? There's a real danger of a, quote, technological arms race, where the focus shifts from the athlete to the equipment, potentially overshadowing the human element that is so central to athletic competition.
It's a pleasure to be part of this important discussion. From a bioengineering standpoint, the advancements in prosthetic technology for sports are genuinely remarkable. We're seeing materials like carbon fiber composites, which are incredibly lightweight yet strong, enabling designs like the J-shaped running blades that store and return energy, mimicking the function of a biological limb to a significant degree. It's crucial to distinguish between prosthetics designed for daily ambulatory function and those engineered for elite athletic performance. The latter are highly specialized, often custom-fitted, and optimized for specific movements and forces encountered in sports like sprinting or jumping. The design process involves sophisticated biomechanical analysis, material science, and often, direct collaboration with athletes to tailor the device to their unique physiology and event. One of the core technical challenges is defining enhancement versus, quote, restoration. Where does a prosthetic stop merely compensating for a missing limb and start providing an advantage that a biological limb wouldn't offer? This is a complex question without an easy engineering answer, as performance is a multifactorial outcome. Additionally, the cost and customization involved are significant factors. Developing and manufacturing these high-performance prosthetics requires substantial investment in research, materials, and skilled technicians, which inevitably impacts their accessibility.
Thank you all for those insightful opening statements. Alex, Dr. Vance raises a critical point about a potential, quote, technological arms race. How can we ensure fairness if some athletes inevitably have access to superior and perhaps more expensive technology than others?
That's a valid concern, Sarah, and one we can't ignore. However, I believe the solution isn't to halt progress, but to find ways to make technology more accessible. Sport has always seen disparities. Access to coaching, facilities, nutrition. Technology is another factor, yes, but parasports can pioneer models for technology sharing, subsidies, or standardized options for certain levels of competition. The focus should be on elevating everyone, not restricting those who can benefit from innovation that helps them overcome their physical limitations more effectively.
Dr. Vance, Alex views technology as a means of overcoming a disadvantage, a way to level the inherent playing field disrupted by disability. Where, specifically, would you draw the line between a necessary aid that promotes fair participation and an enhancement that provides an unfair advantage over other para-athletes or even able-bodied standards, if that comparison is relevant?
The line is indeed difficult to draw, and that's the crux of the problem. I believe the principle should be, quote, restoration of function, as closely as possible to what a biological limb would provide for that individual, rather than optimization beyond biological norms. When a prosthetic is designed to return more energy than a biological leg, or to reduce wind resistance in a way that's not naturally possible, we cross into enhancement. The challenge lies in establishing clear, measurable criteria for this, especially as technology constantly evolves. It requires ongoing ethical debate and scientific scrutiny.
This brings us to the essence of sport. Dr. Vance, many sports readily embrace technological advancements. Think of lighter, more aerodynamic bicycles in cycling, or advanced swimsuits. Why are prosthetics fundamentally different in your view?
That's an important distinction to explore. While other sports do involve technology, the prosthetic in parasports is uniquely integrated with the athlete's body, replacing a part of it. The concern is that the technology itself could become the primary determinant of performance, more so than the athlete's skill, strength, and endurance. With bicycles or swimsuits, there's still a more direct interface of human effort against the resistance of nature or the mechanics of the equipment. When the prosthetic itself has properties that might exceed typical biological capabilities, the balance shifts, and we risk altering the fundamental nature of the athletic challenge.
Alex, is there a risk that focusing too much on the technology, on the engineering marvels, diminishes the athlete's personal journey, their innate talent, and the sheer hard work involved in reaching an elite level?
I understand that concern, but I see it differently. The technology doesn't diminish the journey. It makes the journey possible for some of us at an elite level. The hard work, the dedication, the mental fortitude, those are amplified, not reduced. Learning to use these advanced prosthetics effectively requires immense skill, adaptation, and countless hours of training. It's not as if you strap on a blade and instantly become a champion. The technology is a tool, and like any tool, its effectiveness is determined by the skill of the user. The focus remains on the athlete's achievement.
Ben, from an engineering and regulatory standpoint, how feasible is it to create and enforce regulations that are both fair and adaptable to the rapid pace of technological change in prosthetics? What are the practical challenges?
It's incredibly challenging, Sarah. The pace of innovation in materials science, AI-driven design, and mechatronics is rapid. Regulations often lag behind technological capabilities. Defining, quote, fair in engineering terms is difficult. Do we cap energy return? Specify materials? Limit dimensions? Each choice has complex implications. Furthermore, creating a universal standard is tough because each athlete's needs and morphology are unique. A rule that is fair for one type of amputation or athletic event might not be for another. Adaptability would require a dynamic regulatory framework, perhaps with expert panels constantly reviewing new technologies, which is resource-intensive.
Alex and then Dr. Vance, briefly, what's one key principle you believe should guide future regulations in this evolving area?
The guiding principle should be athlete empowerment and inclusion. Regulations should aim to maximize participation and competitive opportunity, fostering innovation that helps athletes overcome their limitations, rather than prematurely restricting it based on hypothetical advantages.
My guiding principle would be the preservation of the human element in sport. Regulations must prioritize fairness, ensuring that competition is fundamentally a test of human skill, effort, and spirit, not a showcase of technological disparity or superiority.
Some very clear guiding principles there. We're moving towards our closing statements. Dr. Vance, would you like to begin?
Certainly. As we've discussed, the allure of advanced prosthetic technology is undeniable, offering remarkable capabilities. However, we must proceed with caution and profound ethical consideration. The core of my concern remains ensuring a level playing field where the paramount factors are the athlete's dedication, talent, and resilience. If we allow an unchecked technological race, we risk alienating athletes from less resourced backgrounds and fundamentally altering what it means to compete. Therefore, I advocate for robust, adaptable ethical guidelines and classification systems. These systems must be developed through transparent, multi-stakeholder processes, including athletes, ethicists, scientists, and regulators, to preserve the human element and the true spirit of parasport for generations to come.
Thank you, Dr. Vance. Alex, your closing statement?
Thank you. This debate highlights the exciting, sometimes challenging, intersection of humanity and technology. For para-athletes, advanced prosthetics are not a threat to fairness. They are a gateway to it. These innovations allow us to push our boundaries, to express our athletic potential more fully, and to participate on a more equitable footing. To restrict this progress in the name of an overly cautious interpretation of fairness would be a disservice to the very athletes these sports aim to support. Para-athletics should be at the forefront of inclusive innovation, demonstrating how technology can empower and elevate. Let's create a framework that encourages progress, addresses legitimate concerns about access through proactive solutions, and ultimately celebrates the enhanced abilities and indomitable spirit of every competitor.
Thank you, Alex Miller, Dr. Eleanor Vance, and Ben Carter for sharing your invaluable insights on this complex and fascinating topic. It's clear that the conversation around advanced prosthetics and parasports is multifaceted, with passionate arguments on all sides. The quest to balance technological advancement with fair competition and the spirit of sport is ongoing, and your contributions have certainly enriched our understanding. That concludes this evening's Future Sport Debates. Good evening.